As the former president gains a boost in the US, the polls in the UK are suggesting a Labour win at the next general election. It means one man in particular could have the job of dealing with the new Trump administration. The man in question, Shadow Foreign Secretary David Lammy, joins me now. Thank you so much, Mr. Lammy, for joining us here on the programme. As I said, if the polls are to be believed, you're likely to be Britain's new Foreign Secretary. And I guess if the polls are to be believed in the United States, it'll be Donald Trump, potentially in the White House in the next 9 months. Are you prepared to work with Donald Trump?
Well, Yalda, let me just say that there's a long time between now and any general election. And I mean, I've been in politics now 24 years. And the truth is, you just never know.
Sure, 9 months is a long time in politics.
When you go to the British people, you never know. And US politics, to be honest, the primaries have just begun. But of course we'll work with Donald Trump because we will work with whoever America elects. And it doesn't matter whether it's Nixon or Bush or Kennedy. It doesn't matter who's in number 10. You work with the United States.
It won't impact the special relationship? Britain won't rethink the special relationship?
The UK and the US, alongside Australia and New Zealand and Canada, have the best intelligence capability in the world. We see the world in similar ways. The UK and the US are permanent members of the Security Council of the United Nations. Look, of course, as a backbencher, and many backbencher MPs have had strong views about Donald Trump.
You have.
And the things he said in the past. I'm not going to do that.
You described him as a racist Nazi.
Look, I think all backbenchers of both sides, and I know that the current Foreign Secretary, David Cameron, described him as a misogynist and xenophobic. So all of us are going to have a backstory in relation to that. But the truth is, if I have the privilege of becoming Foreign Secretary, it will be my job to represent the national interests of this country.
Sure, and I do...
you have to put to one side
the feelings and personal opinions. But let's just pull up the quote, what you said. You said, Trump is not only a woman-hating, neo-Nazi-sympathising sociopath, he's also a profound threat to the international order that has been the foundation of Western progress for so long. Do you still think that?
Well, look, I do worry that Donald Trump was not keen on NATO because I think it's a fundamental plank of European and global security. I do worry that Donald Trump and some members of the Republican Party have taken a view that the financing and standing by the people of Ukraine, standing by Zelensky, is something that America can turn its back on. That worries me greatly. And so part of the job of being Foreign Secretary, if I have the privilege to do that here in the UK, is also to try and persuade and use your influence. And so it would be my sincere hope that Donald Trump recognises that this is a very challenging geopolitical moment with Russia waging war in Ukraine and threatening its neighbours. If he were to win, he would move beyond that.
He has said that, you know, he may pull out of NATO if there is a Trump 2.0.
Well, look, I hope that that is not the case, and I would do all I can, and I know Keir Starmer would, alongside lots of European allies to persuade him otherwise.
But do you think that NATO would survive?
Well, of course that NATO would survive, but that's not really the question. The question is that after the Second World War, an architecture was set up. In fact, Clem Attlee and Ernest Bevin, who was Foreign Secretary of the Labour Party at the time, were instrumental in setting up NATO. And it's given us global security as a consequence. Article 5, very, very important that we all join together to ensure that we have safety in our numbers. And I think it would be a huge strategic mistake for so many people across the world if the United States were to step back from that.
So if the United States does step back, though, under a Labour government, would Britain step up in terms of defence spending?
Well, look, when we left office, defence spending was standing at 2.5% of GDP. That has not been matched in any years in which the Conservatives have been in power. We have the smallest army at any time since the Napoleonic War. 1 in 5 of our ships have been cut. We've lost 200 planes just in the last 5 years. So we have seen a huge reduction by this government, and that's why we've said the first thing we'll do, if we have the privilege of serving, is have a strategic defence review and set us on the course that's necessary.
Is it Labour then, given what you've said, the damage done to Britain's defence force, isn't Labour going to inherit a very hollow force?
The truth is, I think that people recognise that across public spending, this is not 1997. What we would inherit if we were to win is a huge challenge, no doubt about it. But we have to set our priorities very clearly. We've got a budget in March. We've got a spending review probably in September before the next election. So we'll see what we inherit. But clearly, after Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng, our finances are in a mess, no doubt about it.
I've just got a few minutes, but I want to talk about military support to Ukraine, because Donald Trump says he will cut it off. Will a Labour government step up and provide whatever Ukraine needs?
I saw President Zelensky inviting Donald Trump to come to Ukraine, and I hope that Donald Trump takes up that challenge and goes to Ukraine like I have. And
well, he's also said that he could end the war in 24 hours. Do you believe him?
I think that would be hard to pull off. But it may be that Putin, he has influence on Putin that I have not seen, or none of us have yet seen. But I have to say, if you look at where Russian troops are currently dug in, you look at the arsenal and the shells and the munition that Putin has, it looks like he's intent on waging war for some considerable time.
Then is it time to negotiate with Russia?
Look, I'm really clear. We will stand with Zelensky and the Ukrainian people.
Standing
in this country,
is one thing, but offering military support, they need about 30 billion at this point.
We press the government to come forward with spending. They came forward with 2.5 billion last
Under
week.
a Labour government,
we welcome that, and we will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. Of course, that's alongside our European allies, but I think everyone recognises the importance of winning this fight.
I don't have long, but I want to talk about the Middle East very, very quickly. Of course, you've said that there needs to be a sustained ceasefire. You've been very critical of Benjamin Netanyahu rejecting a two-state solution. Do you think the Americans have been tough enough on Benjamin Netanyahu?
Look, I think that it's extraordinary to suggest that there can't be a two-state solution, because the consequences of not having a two-state solution is having a one-state solution, in which case you would have to explain how Palestinian and Israelis can live side by side with equality and rights and self-determination. I think that's going to be very hard. Or you have no state, in which what you're effectively saying is that occupation continues, that siege continues, and that dire circumstances continue for many, many Palestinian people. I think that's unacceptable. And that's why Americans and the UK and our allies in Europe, most of the world recognises that the only way forward is a diplomatic solution, and that must be predicated on two states.
So then, in your view, should Prime Minister Netanyahu resign?
Oh, look, I have to take the world as it is, not as I would like it to be. That is a decision for the people of Israel. They must determine who they want to lead their country. Of course, I follow the politics in Israel, but that is a determination for them. It's not a determination for me.
David Lammy, thank you so much for joining us here on the programme.
Thank you.